Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of When Love Comes, the podcast. I'm your host, April Nowlin. I am a divorce recovery and relationship coach. And one of the things that I learned after being divorced 3 times was that I had no clue what healthy relationships look like. I mean, I couldn't describe them. I could not tell y'all, the first thing about healthy relationships. So I have been on this journey for 5 years, just immersing myself in relationships, learning about relationships, classes, books, the whole nine, y'all, so that I could bring you resources just like this so that you and I are ready for when love comes. So I'm very excited about my episode today. It's something that I think we hear about but don't really talk about, but it's something that's very near and dear to my heart and to the heart of my guest. So we're going to be talking about the reasons why you may have given up on love. And we're going to do it from a perspective of being a single parent. I'm a single parent. My guest is a single parent. We have both been through the ups and downs of relationships, and we've both been in that space of almost questioning, do I deserve healthy love? Like, is it really for me? And so we're going to talk about some of those reasons and kind of where we are today. So I'm excited to announce my guest, China Coleman. She is a blogger, she is a speaker, and she is the founder of Made New Mama, which is this amazing resource for single moms out there. She's living this life and she is trying to help you guys to just do it better, right? To build more confidence with yourself. So I want to welcome to the podcast, China Coleman.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I usually call you my sister, mentor, friend. So I'm excited to be speaking on this topic because it's very near and dear to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too. So we go back probably 8 or 9 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I met you, you were a single mom. When you
Yes.
met me, I was a single mom. And so we've kind of walked through this journey of dating and relationships and confidence and self-esteem and all of these things together over the years.
Right.
So a few years ago, you wrote this blog post and it was 10 reasons why you're not dating again.
Yes.
And I want you to talk about the space you were in when you wrote it, and then we'll talk about the space you're in now.
Okay. So I wrote this blog post, I'll say about 3-4 years ago. I was at a point where I was going through my healing journey, working on myself, diving deep in my purpose, because God told me that this is the route. This blog is the route, and it's going to take you far, and it's going to help so many people in the process. And so I was getting to a good place, but there was still a part of me that was still desiring that romantic love portion, but also feeling like everything I went through before that disqualified me from love. So as a part of one of my posts that I scheduled out for February, because February is Love Month.
Right.
I decided to write this post and just talk about some things and some reasons that I have given up on love in the past, because I like to say I've gone back and forth,
Yep.
I'm in a moment of hope, and then I go back into, no, love is never for me, or I'm not cut out for this, and I don't care about it anymore. Yeah. But deep down, I know there's this longing and desire for the romantic love, of course. And so I just keep going through that process. So every time those feelings come up, I can go back to this blog post, because a lot of things I write on this blog is things that I didn't know, like I wasn't even in that place.
Right.
And so these things come out of me because I believe, God gives me these things to share with people. But when I go back and read it, it was actually for me in a season that I would need in the future or something like that. So
isn't that funny how that happens? We will write something thinking it's for somebody else.
Right.
And then we go back to and we're like, oh, okay.
I needed this.
I needed that. Or I wrote it then, but I need it now.
Right.
So I want to talk about your platform for a minute.
Okay.
Made New Mama.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Why did you start it? Like, what does it mean?
So funny thing, this blog came after a breakup.
Oh.
So it was like a part of my healing journey after a breakup. When I got back into church about 2 years in, I met a guy, and I was dating him for about a year, but that I thought it was going to be something, but it didn't turn out to be much, and it ended in a dramatic way. Probably mostly on my end. I was really dramatic, real emotional with it. But I was starting that healing journey, but I was so angry. I was so disappointed. that, oh, another failed relationship. Why can't I get it right in this arena? I'm doing well in all these other areas. I'm starting to thrive really good. Well, I thought, nobody told me that parenting is levels to this. I thought I was getting to a point in parenting where I had it figured out. Yeah. But about maybe 6 months into my healing after that breakup, God spoke to me. I need you to start writing. And then so I started writing, and he's like, now I need you to put it online. And I was like, no, I can't let people see these things, these broken parts of me. But that's where Made New Mama was birthed. And so as I was healing and as I was transforming on my journey as a single mother, then he started giving me these topics to write about. And then next thing you know, people are reading it. People are paying attention. Yeah. It was just me, just an outlet, Yeah. But people were starting to pay attention. And then next thing you know, I'm speaking at events. People are asking me to speak with their groups and things like that. So I'm just blessed to be. I never expected it to be something greater than just my outlet and my healing point.
Yeah. I truly believe that God can use our pain to fuel our purpose.
Yes.
I talk about my journey now being a divorce recovery and relationship coach, where my journey started as a business coach.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is it. This is what I was going to do, probably forevers and evers. And then went through my third divorce, went through a healing journey, and kind of similar. I heard God say, you need to write your story. And so I was never a big journaler. To me, I just felt like, oh, this is a waste of time. And so I started journaling, and I thought, okay, I'm getting my thoughts. I'm doing what my therapist said to do, right? And God was like, I need you to write your stories. So I'm just writing it out. And then 3 months later, he's like, now I need you to tell your story.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, I wrote it. What do you need me to tell it? And he's like, I need you to turn those journaling, what you've been doing, into a book. And that is where Move the Finish Line came from. It came from my journaling, and I turned it into a book. And like you, I kind of had that fear of, I'm going to put my life out there. Because a lot of people who knew me in that season, they knew I had been married once. Some knew I had been married twice, but almost no one knew I had been married 3 times. And so to say that publicly, I was like, the shame, the condemnation, like, what are people going to think? But like you, what happened was I would have women reach out to me and say, this sounds like me.
Right.
I didn't think anyone else would understand. Yeah. So I love how God uses that pain, and it's like, if you just let me use it, I can fuel your purpose.
Right.
So 100%. I love it. I love 100%. It. So at the end of this, we'll have you tell everyone where they can connect with you.
Okay.
So I want to dive into our conversation today.
Okay.
I love that you shared that you started out this journey from a heartbreak, right? And we've both been in those spaces of, maybe love isn't for me. Maybe I don't deserve love. I don't know how to be loved. So I want to talk about some of the reasons why women that look like us, are living our life, may feel like I've given up. And so one of the first ones, and I think this is a big one, is that a woman who has experienced love in a painful way. Yes. So what would you say about that one?
This one is big because we're in a world where people are just flawed, and some people don't fully understand what it truly means to love. A lot of people see it as just a feeling, a feel-good thing. And if things are not feeling good, their love is not there. And so when you're operating in a place of kind of tainted love, I call it tainted love, or toxic love, that it bleeds on other people, and it causes hurt, heartache, all those things. And then it doesn't allow you to fully understand it or experience it in the best way. So for me, my journey with that is that I saw love from, I'm going to jump a little bit, from the Disney movies.
Yes.
Okay. That's the love that I was expecting. That's the love that I wanted to experience. My Prince Charming coming out of somewhere, and as a young girl, you just see the good side of it, but if you go back and watch those movies as adults, you see a lot of trauma, a lot of dysfunction in that. But I just wanted the feel good part of love. And sometimes people can't provide that feel good type of love because they never had any any type of quality love themselves.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us, we go through relationships and situations with people who are broken.
Yeah.
And so when we experience these relationships with these people broken, we automatically define love in that way. Yeah. And so in my past, I've gone through a number of relationships where I was broken. I had a distorted view of love, and then they also had, and we were just hurting each other. We were bleeding on each other. And so once I come from that place of healing and stuff like that, and then I understand that that wasn't the love, but I'm still experiencing situations with people that I thought would be healed too. And so it just distorts the hope that's there, when it comes to love. And that's what I feel like that's one of the main reasons that a lot of people give up on love. Yeah. We don't want to keep experiencing the heartache, the cutting, the pain.
You don't want to keep reliving the pain.
Yeah.
And my story is very similar, is that I would get into these relationships with a distorted view of love and not understanding what healthy love really was. Right. And the way that I describe it now is I believe that healthy love is safe. Yes. It is secure. It is affirming. It is fruitful. And it has evidence of God's love in it.
Right.
And so I didn't know that. And I know that sounds like just kind of a simple acronym. Love is safe. But when you really think about it, I don't know that I really felt emotionally safe or spiritually safe or safe enough to be who I believe God created me to be in these relationships. They just were not safe. And so I feel like if you're someone who has experienced those things, I think one of the best things you can do is take the time to understand what healthy love looks like. And that is from a biblical view, that is from professional view, right? But understanding what healthy love looks like so that you are not fearing a good relationship because you just don't understand what healthy love looks like.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll piggyback on that, like, just getting the understanding. So as I'm going through my healing journey, I'm doing different things. I'm reading books on love. I'm getting into the word and learning what God says about love, because he is love. But I'm also using discernment with people in my life that are willing to be honest, open, and vulnerable about their healthy love relationship and things like that. And I can learn and feed from them as well. And so a lot of people, we just taking whatever, we hear or see on social media, and it's causing confusion for us when it comes to understanding love, where we just need to kind of use that discernment a little bit and do the necessary things we need to do to truly understand it so we can eventually experience love in a healthy way. Yeah,
I agree. I tell you, social media, movies, they will get you... I'm gonna use this word, so discombobulated when it comes to relationships and what to expect in a healthy relationship.
Right.
The other thing that I would say is to ask for help. Yes. So I talk to a lot of my clients, and they'll be in this space of, I just can't trust men, or I just can't trust relationships, and I just don't know what to do. Yeah. And I feel like when I hear someone say that, when I hear someone discount an entire process, right? Relationships are evil.
Right.
What it says to me is it's not so much that you can't trust them, but you can't trust yourself to choose better.
And that's the point.
Right? Because we've chosen wrong so many times that we don't trust ourselves to do better. And so I think that is when, specifically when you need some help. You need someone who can say, wait, this distorted thought about love, this isn't real.
Right.
This is what real love looks like.
Right.
So I love that. So pain can definitely put us in a place of wanting to give up, but that healing journey will take us back to hope.
Take you right back to hope, 100%.
I love it. So the next one I want to talk about, and I think you and I both have experienced this, is afraid that your future partner will not accept your children or will not want to date someone with kids.
Yes. So this is a big one. So I had 2 kind of major relationships after having Ava. And there's that underlying fear in there. Because usually when I'm dating people, my daughter is in a season of she's going through a growing pain. Right. And so it's a juggling act, just in the parenting realm.
Yeah.
And so when we're getting the not so desirable behaviors from our children, and then we're trying to date this person and trying to go in depth and try to build something,
Right.
and it was like, I don't want them to see this side of her.
Right.
She's actually a good kid or whatever.
Yeah.
Shout out to my daughter Ava, but
Yeah.
but she's actually a good kid. You just
Yeah.
got to get to know her, type of thing. But it's always that underlying fear that because the conversation out in culture is like, don't date single mothers. They come with a whole bunch of baggage. For my situation, I don't have that the other person
Yeah.
in my daughter's life. So I don't come with that co-parenting baggage
Yeah.
or anything like that. But still, I don't want them to feel like I'm asking for them. I want them to be a father-like figure, but I don't want them to be her father.
Right.
And in those dating, relationships building up to marriage, but there's that fear. It's just crouching is behind my ear the whole time I'm having conversations with the guy, going on the dates with the guy and trying to build something with the guy, is that he's gonna finally meet my daughter and don't want to do it. Or we get all the way in there and he decides he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't want to
that's
do
so
it.
true.
Be like a parent-like figure to a child.
Yeah.
He just wanted me. And so that's always that underlying fear. And I hear from other single mothers that that's a fear as well.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, going back to there's been this societal single moms come with a lot of baggage. But I do want to encourage someone listening today that if you have heard that, if you felt that way, there are so many wonderful men that are waiting on a family. They're waiting to embrace your child. Yeah. And where I hear it the most is I hear women get discouraged because they'll meet a man and it's like, oh, I don't want to date someone with kids, or I don't want the heartache of your baby daddy or your ex-husband, all these things. But back to the encouragement, the right man will embrace all of that.
Embrace all of
it. I have known people who had 4, 5, 6 kids, literally, y'all. And the right man came along and he was like, I'm going to embrace all these babies.
Right.
And you. Right. But one thing you need to remember is that you're a package deal.
Yes.
And so don't feel bad if you meet a man who says, I don't want to date someone with kid. That is his right. Yeah. But that is not a reflection of you.
Not at all.
As a parent or as a woman. And then I want to talk about the age difference. So your daughter is younger. She's in elementary school, I believe. My daughter is about to graduate high school. And so I'm going to be honest with you. The thought of me dating someone who has a toddler is like, oh, wait, what?
You're not going back.
I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
So everyone has the right to choose who they want to be with.
Right.
But just know that the right person for you will embrace your children. They will embrace whether it is a ex-husband or a baby daddy. They will embrace that situation and that they will stand up for you in that situation.
Right.
Me and my daughter's dad have a good relationship. We've always had a good relationship. We divorced when she was 6 months old. He remarried. I did remarry once, but we've always had a good relationship. However, my ex-husband, what I found out later was he didn't want to be a father. He wanted to be with me.
Yes.
That came out in our marriage. And so for him, I would tell him we're a package deal, but I noticed that he did treat my daughter differently once we were married. Gotcha. And so once we were divorcing is when he was honest and said, yeah, I never wanted to be a father. I was just trying to be with you. Yeah. And so that's another situation that we want to avoid, and making sure that that man really does want to be a part of not just our lives, but our children's lives.
Right. And what I'm learning, as I'm trying to navigate getting back on the dating stream and everything like that, is it's going to be frustrating because there are going to be guys that are going to come and they're going to sell you dreams. And you already knew I had a child. And then they'll pull everything from under you, like the rug from under you. And it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be disappointing, but don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Keep going. The right man is going to come.
Yeah.
And like they always say, you may have to kiss a couple frogs. Some of them may be some fine frogs.
Right.
But but just keep going, keep trusting, and your person will find you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the key is to have those what I call difficult, challenging conversations up front.
Yep, early on.
Right. And look, be honest with me. Is this something that you're interested in, considered, especially if it's a man who's never had children?
Right.
And so that could go either way. I've met men who don't have children and they're totally fine with it. I've met men who don't have children. They're like, well, maybe
On the fence, right?
Right. So I would say have those conversations up front about where they stand. So like you said, you don't get too deep into it and then the rug gets pulled from up under you. And you're like, man, how did I get here again?
Yeah.
All right. The next one, we touched on this a little bit, is the Disney mentality.
Yes.
Right? I'm waiting on Prince Charming to come and rescue me from, this life of singleness.
Yes.
How does that thought process hinder us from really believing in loving it and putting ourselves out there?
I think because we're with Disney, everything's perfect.
Right.
Everything's perfect. But I think the issue is we are looking for perfection.
Yeah.
When we're looking from the Disney mindset. And for the girls who kind of fall into that trap, we're more imaginative. So when we get into dating, we automatically start building a life together in our minds. And so a lot of times you start dating someone, they're doing, small things right. You already done planned everything.
Your whole life
from
together.
like what we're going to do when we wake up on Saturday mornings, like all this different stuff. I'm guilty of this. Sorry.
Right.
But, what fun vacations we're going to go
Yes.
on, all these things. But it doesn't allow you to stay in reality.
Yeah.
Being able to see the person for who they are. You've already started putting them in this glorious position when they haven't even shown you any of that.
Yeah.
And so we just got to be careful. And a lot of us, I still hope for that person because I'm a Hallmark girl too. So once you go from Disney, you go to Hallmark, right? So you're going to end up thinking about, okay, I'm going to bump into him at the coffee shop, all that stuff and all that. And so I still believe those things are possible, but we got to have a clear head when we're doing the dating and everything like that.
Yes. I feel like, build your own fairy tale.
Right.
Right. I've met people who have met their spouses online, gas stations, grocery store, just out doing everyday life. And so, like you said, I think we need to be real, live in reality about what that looks like for us, right?
Right.
Hallmark, y'all, is another one. Oh my gosh, especially during the holidays.
We know how it's going to end, but it's just beautiful to watch.
Yes. It's girl meets boy. They break up. They fall in love at the end. No, they don't.
They live in a small town.
They break up and they should have broke up.
Yes, right.
But yes, so I think that also is a good segue into just making sure that we are protecting our heart. We are guarding our heart by what we watch and listen to. If your whole ideology, your whole methodology of relationships is based on what you see on social media, then you are going to be so disappointed in every relationship you get in, because social media is just the highlights, right? It's the pretty picture. It's the nice dinner. It didn't show them fighting all the way to dinner and fighting in the car on the way home. But it was a pretty dinner. And so be realistic about, once again, what a healthy relationship looks like. Be realistic about just what you expect from the other thing that comes to mind when I think about this is the expectation that person is supposed to be your everything.
Yes.
One of the terms, there's these terms that I just absolutely hate to hear. One of them is, you complete me and you are my everything.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
God did not create one person to be your everything. And God did not create people to complete you.
Right.
Right? You need to be complete before you meet them.
Right. And I feel like single moms, we fall into that trap because even in our parenting, we try to be everything for our children. And so because we're being everything to our children, we're actually not. In our heads, we're being everything to our children. We expect whoever comes in to kind of cater to us in that way as well. And I want to take a sidebar. I want to encourage the person who, because like me, I am a very heart-centered person. I get attached to people in my line of work. I'm an occupational therapist outside of this. So every person that comes across my journey, I'm helping them to never give up. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? And I get to know them. I get to know them on their journey. And I just want to tell the person who is heart-centered, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yes.
There is nothing wrong with you.
Yes.
God gave you that heart, that desire to love on people, to want to connect with people, and to want to see people thrive and grow. It's all from God, but we just got to be careful, and we have to guard our hearts.
Yeah.
Of course, we leave it open like a floodgate.
Yes.
We have to have a gate with a latch, you know, letting people in and out. But just know that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't have to feel like you have to be cold-hearted to make it in this dating world or anything like that. Just be smart, you know, be smart, you know, guard your heart. And I use that famous word discernment, you know, you got to use discernment and really paying attention to things and not getting so caught up in what's going on in your head and what's going on in your heart, but see the big picture. And so I wanted to encourage someone because
thank you
for
that.
a lot of times I have had shame around that because I think my first heartbreak was because I wore my heart out on a sleeve. And that was at the age of 10. I made this amazing Valentine's Day card for this guy in my class, and guess what he did?
What did he do?
He passed it around the class, had everybody laughing, just embarrassment. And so I felt like I couldn't be, because that's who I am. I'm a person who wears my heart out on my sleeve, but I have to learn as I get older that I just have to have my safeguards around it and type thing. So
I love it.
So,
we have to guard our hearts
right.
at all costs.
Yes.
Even if it hurts us. So one of the protections that I put in, I've learned a lot about those 3 divorces. I've learned a lot about myself. I am a fixer.
Yeah.
I am a fixer by nature. So like I said, I was a business coach for a long time. I could come in and fix your business. And so what I had to learn is what am I supposed to fix and what is it not my job to fix?
Yes.
And unfortunately, my thought process from a young age, because I had to fix a lot of things. My mother was a drug addict. And so I was the one who woke up and made sure, did she eat? Did my sister eat? I was fixing things all the time. And so I would navigate to these men who were broken. Because in my mind, if I could just fix you, if I could just make it better, right? But that was a detriment of mine. And so one of the safeguards that I put in place to guard my heart is I have a community of women that when I start dating, I will call them and I will let them, this is how the first date went and this is how our relationship is going. And I've given them the ability, the okay to say, you know what, April, I'm seeing some things.
Right.
Like, let's take a step back. Let me ask you a question. But I've given them permission so that I don't get caught up in the clouds and the excitement and I start falling back into those old ways.
Right. And I love that you said you have a circle of women because I feel like I'm in a period where I'm shifting my circle and my friendships because I felt like the friendships that I had, they're not bad friendships, but they weren't giving me the mindset or helping me work through things. It was more of we're just in this, you know, kind of, I wouldn't say drain, but in this cycle together, and we're all like affirming each other in this cycle. But I'm a person, I'm hoping for love. I'm hoping for marriage and things like that. And so I need people who are kind of along the same lines, but are really willing to be honest with me. And ask me those hard questions and like, oh, I don't want to see that part. I want this to be magical. Right. So I'm attracting more friendships and more community who are asking me those hard questions on this dating journey. So
we need it,
which still gives me hope and courage and confidence that okay, I hit a rough spot, but still I can keep doing this because they're rooting me on in the background. So
I love it. And just so y'all know, China is part of my community.
Yes.
So I want to talk about, this is a big one, not wasting our time. So, you know, we have people who will say, well, I'm not dating because I'm not about to waste my time again. Because as you know, we are busy, right? Yes. Not just with our lives, with our children's lives, and we don't have time to waste. But I feel like in some cases, we use that as an excuse to not believe again, to not put ourselves out there again.
Okay. As my therapist would say, you excusing yourself right now. But I'm a big person. Like, dating wise, so I have a lot of friends that I admire and how they can just date multiple people and things like that. Ooh. I'm not one of them people.
Exhausting.
I only have energy to learn about one person and one person only at a time, one at a time. But a lot of times I don't want to waste my time, because I have a lot on my plate. I'm taking care of my daughter. I'm doing the blog. I got to speak, different things like that. I got to work. I got to keep a roof over our head. I'm being the provider. I'm being the nurturer. There's so many roles that I'm taking on as a single mother.
Yeah.
And then of course, I'm in a faith community. So I have a heart to serve and volunteer and things like that. So there's so much on my plate. And so I was like, no, these things are, more important. So I don't want to waste my time getting to know someone that is
it's just not going to work out.
Just going to be a good coffee or just going to be a good meal or anything like that. But I did notice that I was keeping it as a safeguard, because I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to take the time to get to know anyone, but at the same time, I wasn't allowing myself to grow in that regard. Dating provides an opportunity for you to learn more about yourself, learn more about what you want, what you like, what will work for your future. And I wasn't ready to do that. So my excuse was, I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah.
Because it's always the other person, it's always the other person wasting my time. But sometimes you may be wasting their time, to be honest, if you want to be honest about that. But I think the biggest thing is that it's not a waste of time. Yeah. I think the issue is we don't want to learn the lessons. Yes. We don't want more lessons. We just want it to be beautiful. One and done, right? But there's beauty in the process, in the dating process, and understanding, I need to clean up this area, and stuff like that. And we don't realize when we don't go through the process, we're wasting time of getting where we need to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
To get to the healthy relationship we're looking for. And so sometimes we need to take those moments of dating people that we know may not be for us, but it will teach us something about ourselves, so we can be better prepared for the person that is for us and for our family and for our children and stuff. And we can model healthy dating in that regard. Yes. But if we're all about our children, our children never get to see an example of someone being healthy in a dating relationship. So they'll go out there and think that the next person is supposed to be all about them as well. Yeah. And so those are just some areas that
no, I'm with you.
As I look back, reading back of the blog post, and I'm just like, oh, you got a point there.
Yeah.
I wrote it, but you got a point there.
Like, oh, that was good.
That was good. You went there. But yeah, don't let that be an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. You said something that I think is very important about the perspective of the dating season, right? I think that a lot of us growing up were taught that, that person that smiles at you, that must be your husband. The person that asks you out, he must be your husband. So our perspective going into these relationships is, I'm looking for my next husband.
Right.
And that is what kept me trapped through several of those relationships, because that was my perspective. Like, either you're husband material or you're not. Yeah. After I started healing, my perspective changed on dating. And my perspective was, I want to date to learn about myself, learn about the opposite sex, have fun with the hopes that I'll meet someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Right.
So it took the pressure off of, this is just a waste of time, and being able to use that as an excuse, because it's nice sometimes just to talk to someone of the opposite sex, to smell someone of the opposite sex. Come on. Like, but it's, use it as a learning opportunity, and you just might meet that person, but that excuse of, well, I just don't have time. Now, let me say this. A lot of us are busy. And I'm not negating that. Yeah. What we're talking about is the person that's listening, that you have that desire to be out there. you could potentially make time to go on a coffee date, but because you're scared, you use the excuse of, I don't have enough time. Right. And particularly in different stages of your children's lives. You know, when our children are younger, your child's a little bit younger, they require babysitters and things like that. So it is a little bit harder. My daughter's almost 17, just got a car. You know, I don't have to worry about picking her up and hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
But what I realized was it put me in a different space to be able to date and maybe go out on a date on a Tuesday night, right? Because I don't have to take her to basketball practice and things like that. So we get it. We're busy.
Yeah.
You're all busy. But what we're saying is don't use the excuse of time because you're fearful of the next relationship or you're fearful of getting hurt.
Yeah.
If you truly don't have time, I get it. But you know if you do or don't.
More times than less, you do have time.
You do have time. You just, here's the thing. You have time. You're not making time.
You're not making time for it.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I do hear this a lot, particularly in my age group and older. So China's in her 30s. I'm in my 40s. And a lot of women that I talk to are 30s, 40s, and 50s. And what I hear the older we get is I don't have time. Or I meet women who truly feel like I'm too old for love. Or love has passed me by. And I don't feel like that is true at all. I met a couple years ago. They were in their 70s and reconnected on Facebook and were getting married. So look, y'all.
Wow. Yeah.
Because they were like, look, we ain't got too much time to waste. We need to do this now.
Yeah. And the other thing, what is it? I'm too old to be calling somebody my boyfriend, having a crush. You're too old to be having no crush.
You probably need a boyfriend. So you can leave your grown kids alone.
I know, right? So they can have some freedom to be who they want to be.
Right.
Yes.
You need a boyfriend and a crush. The next one I want to talk about is, and I think this one cuts deep.
Okay.
Is not having healed or forgiven old love wounds.
Yes. So this is a big one because a lot of times we think about the wounds that other people give to us in our relationships and things like that. But what about the self-inflicted wounds that we give to ourselves in these relationships of not listening to our intuition, not, someone wasn't right for you, but you kept pushing. That's a self-inflicted wound. You get what I'm saying? And so a lot of times we get to a place where, we've forgiven these people, but we haven't forgiven ourselves for the, hurt and damage we've done to ourselves. And that tends to linger on in our next relationships and how we pick people and things like that, because, oh no, the wounds are out there, but what about the wounds that we are doing to ourselves? So we have to forgive ourselves. We have to heal our relationship with ourselves. And I know you have a lot of resources on self-love and things like that. And we have to learn to love ourselves again in that process. And so I had a lot of relationships in the past. So I'll tell you a little bit. I had relationships in the past where when I didn't know myself, where I was very, very broken, I was hurt, I was betrayed, different stuff like where I betrayed myself. I was operating from a place of manipulation, hurt, things just, I met some great guys. Now that I reflect on it, I met some really great guys that were down and willing to love me, but I couldn't love myself. I couldn't allow that love in. And so in return, I was hurting them. And then now that I'm on this healing journey, I'm meeting guys who are like I was in the past. And I'm like, what is happening?
You can spot it now, though,
you can
can't
spot
you?
it now.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this was me. But why am I not attracting the guy that I was attracting before in this season and things like that? And so it gives me an opportunity to step back. And I was like, what wounds? What sores, what scabs haven't I let, heal? I keep picking. What is happening? So that I can move forward in this dating journey, move forward towards love and marriage and things like that. And I got to a point where I don't want to heal from anything else anymore. I don't need to heal from anything. I don't want to heal anymore. I don't want to see all the scars and the bleeding wounds that are still bleeding, you know? I don't want to see those things, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's so necessary. And so I'm an advocate for getting in front of a therapist that will hear you out. And I know there's different options. You can, go to a Christian therapist. I like the neutral therapist because I want to heal from a place of what in my nature, and then I'll go back to the word, and he
Right.
can help me
Right.
get on the other side of this. But I just need that person to just hear what I'm saying
Yeah.
and then spit it back to me so I can see it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times our wounds are, we're not necessarily looking down at ourselves, we're
Nope.
looking out. And so we don't see the bleeding, you know, we don't see the internal bleeding that's happening. That's my health part, sorry.
Right.
But I need someone, and we need to be able to allow someone to come in
Yeah.
and see our wounds
Yeah.
and help us through it.
That is so good.
Yes.
One of the things that I learned, and still learning, but one of the things I learned along this journey is how much self-sabotage played a role in my relationships.
Yes.
And like you said, those wounds that we don't know that we're still carrying, those wounds that we didn't know were still open, and we're just bleeding on the other person.
Yeah.
There are some really great guys I met along the way. And I mean, between my mouth and my actions, like, woo,
That mouth, boy.
I, was cutting like a sword.
Cutting.
So we have to understand where our limiting beliefs play.
Yeah.
Things that we're not fully healed from, like you said,
Our blind
actions like,
spots.
yes,
Yes.
the blind, the manipulation, right? Not truly loving ourselves.
Yeah.
One of the scriptures that I stand on is, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But if you don't love yourself, how can you expect love? How do you know what love looks like? How do you know what it feels like for you if you don't love yourself?
Right.
And so I think self-love, which is something that I have just learned these last few years, is so huge. Because to me, when I thought about self-love, I was like, oh, that's just a little lofty saying, what's self-love? But there is something key to getting to know yourself. So that you can articulate who you are in a relationship. You can share your needs, wants, and desires in a relationship because you know them.
Right.
The movie that comes to mind, back to the movies, y'all. The movie that comes to mind is The Runaway Bride.
Okay. Yeah.
And in this, Julia Roberts she keeps like getting to the altar with these men, but she keeps running away at the altar and can't figure out her family. They're like, why can't you just get married?
Right.
But what it was in the end was she didn't even know who she was. And there's a part at the end of the movie where she's talking to the last, could be husband.
Yeah.
And she says, I don't like eggs. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
She goes, through all these different relationships, I would eat the eggs the way that this man liked them.
Liked it, yeah.
She goes, and I don't even think I like eggs.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I do believe that there's something to us not being fully healed
Yeah.
and not knowing our true identity that will keep us from healthy relationships and putting ourselves out there.
Yeah. And then when you're in that place, you tend to become a sponge, or you transform into every man you meet. Like I've seen myself. He says he's a health nut. All of a sudden, I'm trying.
Girl.
I like my burgers and fries, but all of a sudden, I'm trying to cook these quinoa and all this different other stuff that he likes to eat. He doesn't eat meat and stuff. I was like, no, I love me a good burger, good steak. Type thing.
Come on now.
Type thing. So I'm trying to transform, and I was just like, oh no, this is not good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So getting to know yourself and knowing yourself will keep you from being I call it the transformer.
I love it. I love it. The transformer and the sponge. Don't be the sponge. All right. So the last one I want to talk about, and this one, it hits me deep.
Okay.
But it's looking for love in all the wrong places, or I'll say it like this, looking for love for all the wrong reasons.
Right. Right. So as single mothers, we like to think we're looking for the right reasons, but majority of us is looking for someone to relieve the burden.
Yeah, come on.
Relieve the burden of taking care of these kids, paying these bills, all that stuff. And that's just not the right way to, that should not be the goal in mind.
Right.
As much as I would like for someone to take care of me, I know at the end of the day, I don't want them to take completely care of me. I still want to walk in my purpose. I still want to be who I am and things like that. But yeah, I think it's just the purpose behind the reasoning behind why you're so sought after, finding love and things like that. Make sure you're coming from a place to actually want to serve the other person instead of get, you know, get. And I think for me, from this place, this is one I'm going to have to work on because I don't have the other co-parent.
Yeah.
And so I do desire someone to kind of
Like you said,
take
relieve
some
the
of
burden.
relieve the
Yeah.
burden. I don't want you to take completely care of me, but if I'm sick,
Right.
who do I have to bring me soup and cater to me?
Right.
My child's sick, I'm taking care of them. My parents are sick, I'm
Yeah.
going over there to help them and guide them through their healing
Yeah.
and things like that. But who is there to take care of me if I'm sick, you know,
Yeah.
or just need a moment to decompress? And I love my friends,
Yeah.
you know,
We love you
I'm
too.
gonna get to this point, but I love my friends, but there's some things a friend can't do,
Come on.
right?
Come on.
To help relieve.
Come on.
Okay.
Keep it real.
I won't go there, but yeah, because I had someone bring that up to me. You shouldn't, you know, need or want a man, and I was like, who said?
Said who?
I need some healing too.
Right.
I need someone that feels like someone cares about my well-being as
Absolutely.
well, you know, type of thing.
Absolutely.
And so, but we shouldn't be solely putting everything on that person because that's
Yeah.
not their job. Just like when you were saying, wanting this person to be everything to you.
Yeah.
No. But that's just me, you know?
But I think one of the biggest misconceptions out there
Yeah.
is the I don't need anybody. I don't need him. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Be honest with
Be
yourself.
honest with yourself.
Yes.
I truly believe that God created us for relationship and companionship. So there's a verse that I've heard so many times in church.
Yes.
But where God told Adam, it's not good for you to be alone. And that verse many times is interpreted as you need to be married. And I do
Right.
believe that marriage is a part of that.
Right.
But I believe that what God was saying was that in order for you to thrive, Adam, you need something that looks like you. So whether that's community, romantic love.
Right.
So I don't believe we were meant to do life alone.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should be any shame. And it breaks my heart many times when I hear this from a faith-based perspective
Right.
of, well, you just need God and
Yeah.
you just need to, be by yourself and walk it out with God. I do need God, but God created me to want a man.
Yes, 100%.
So if you're listening and you have been in that space of almost feeling ashamed of wanting a relationship and ashamed of wanting to be loved and touched and hugged, God created you with those desires.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with wanting that. What we're talking about is how you're going about it.
Yeah.
So to your point, China, one of the turning points with my last husband, I had seen some things and I was on the fence. My daughter was like 6 or 7 at the time. And I had come home from work. He was coming over for dinner and I was really frustrated. And he said, "What do you need in this moment?" And I was like, "I just need like 10 minutes by myself."
Right.
He said, "Go take a shower." When I got out of the shower, which wasn't 10 minutes, y'all, it was like 45.
Oh, yes. Them showers be good.
Them showers be good. When I got out the shower, my daughter had been fed. The little homework she had to do was done. He was sitting there watching cartoons with her. And I remember in that moment telling myself, this might be it.
Yeah.
But looking back, it wasn't him
Right.
that I was sure about. It was he had relieved the pressure.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what I need.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the biggest mistakes we can make
Yeah.
is just trying to find someone to relieve the pressure. Because it comes with so many other things that we don't want.
Yeah.
Other things that I'll caution you guys on, loneliness,
Yeah.
right? Once again, loneliness is cured by companionship, being around other people, not necessarily romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Some of the loneliest people I know are married people. And I've been there. I've been that lonely person being married with my husband in the next room
Right.
because we don't talk and we haven't slept in the same bed for 2 months and we haven't had sex in 6 months. Like that's what lonely
Okay,
looks
loneliness.
like, right?
Yeah.
So we can't just pick someone because we're lonely. Another thing, we can't pick someone because I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of being this single. We have to listen to the words that we're saying. So when we say stuff like, well, I'm tired of being single, I'm tired of this, that opens up the door
For anything.
for
to
that,
come
right?
in. Yeah.
Or I'm angry about my last one, or I'm angry. We have to listen to the words that we're saying
Right.
because that will show us the reason why we're chasing after a relationship in this season. And to be honest with you, for some of y'all listening, your single season is where you need to be.
Yeah. And that's what I'm learning. I'm learning, always when I get those feelings of loneliness or anything, I always just ask myself, what's the root? Why do I want this? Why do I want this right now? If it's rooted in things that are not of God, then I need to go back to him, and spend time with him and spend time with myself. And so I love that you shared that, because that's going to help me in my journey and things like that as I'm progressing in this dating journey.
Girl, it helps me too. I do, because what I do is I ask myself, what am I feeling and why?
Why?
Am I really feeling like this is the time to date, or am I just tired of being by myself?
Right.
And I love myself, y'all. Trying to know. I've never met a mirror that I didn't like.
Yes.
I take myself out. But I do have those moments of it's like, man, it would be nice to have someone else to talk to or to go or to pay for some stuff. Let's be real.
Right.
But I do stop and ask myself, what am I feeling and why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So.
I like it. I like it.
Well, China, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I think it was much needed to have this conversation, because we don't talk about this enough. So what I want you to do is, if there's someone listening and they're like, man, I really need this conversation, I'm maybe on that fence of not sure if I believe in love again or deserve love, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, don't give up. I mean, it's simple as that. Don't give up. Do what is necessary, whether that's your healing, whether that's going back to God, building a relationship with him, getting around other women who are on the trajectory that you want to go, that you can learn from. I would just say, don't give up. Just keep going towards it. Making sure it's not an idol in your life. It's okay to desire love. It's okay to want a partner to do life with, because some of us we're not naive. We know it's going to be some challenges, but we don't want to make it an idol, put it above, God or ourselves. And definitely, if you're not in the season of actually dating right now, love on your friends in the way that you want to love on your spouse. Love on your child in the way that you want to love on your spouse. So get that training of giving and serving another person, so when that person comes, you're going to be ready. And so stay in expectation, keep dreaming, keep believing, all that good stuff, right?
I love it. Yes. But at the end of the day, don't give up.
Don't give up.
I don't care how old you are. Don't give up. You are worthy. You are deserving of love.
Yes.
So then lastly, China, let us know, where can we connect with you? If someone's listening, like, man, I need to get on her mailing list. I need to get these blogs. Where can they connect with you?
The best place you can go is madenewmama.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm doing a podcast videos of posts that I've written in the past, and then I go back and reflect on where I was in that journey, and then just seeing a little bit of encouragement from that point. So you can go on there, see some of the videos there. And then I speak. So a lot of my speaking engagements this year is going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, there's it's called Camp Awaken in Prescott, and then the Unstuck Conference, which is in Mesa, Arizona, and it's completely free. Free food and free childcare. Y'all better jump on this.
Come on.
So definitely you can see me there as one of the breakout speakers. But continue to just follow the blog. Check out the old blog posts, because I've written a lot. I started this blog, 2019, 2018 area. So there's a lot of content on there. And then I also want to encourage you to check out, if you're a movie lover, the 7 movies that will help you continue to believe in love again. And there's some good ones for single parents on there too.
I love it. I love it. So China, thank you so much again for being my guest.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just glad to be here. I thank you for this conversation, because we're talking and we're helping other people, but you're helping me in the process.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
I love it.
Till next time.
All right, y'all. So I just want to say thank you again for watching, listening to another episode of When Love Comes. Like I said at the beginning, my whole goal of this podcast is to prepare you for when love comes. One thing that I learned on my journey was that years ago, if true love had to come my way, I was not ready. And I want you guys to be ready. So if you guys need more resources, go to whenlovecomes.com. There is an ebook on there preparing you for healthy love. There's some other things coming with the When Love Comes community. So make sure you guys get connected so that you're ready when love comes.